next spade of development comes in here, as we've done in the previous cycle, we had to play catch up. We're not playing catch up. We've got everything in place. So I want to thank you for that, and I certainly want to thank the city staff for participating tonight and their hard work and dedication to this endeavor. And as we move forward, we're going to be having strategic planning beginning next week, actually, on the 8th and the 9th. We certainly encourage all the members of the various committees, and the council, of course, will be there to participate at that. And maybe it'll be interesting. Hopefully we'll have a real nice turnout like we had tonight. Well, I think what they do is they work, I know she's been busy writing notes. I think you're going to compile those into some statistics as to what the priorities are. Obviously, I think we pretty much agree in a general sense of that this document is what we want. I think we do have to get a little bit specific, and I think Cheryl brought up the point of do we need to look specifically, and I think the Community Service Commission probably should look specifically into the areas of the high and the medium, just a little closer. Just a little closer, because it's easy to say high, medium, and low. What does that mean? And I think one of the things I was trying to do as the discussion was going on, as I was looking at the high points and seeing about the dollar amounts, because I think you have to some extent, when you have a document like this, it's great, but you have to some extent, when you place high, medium, and low, you have to put them in a realistic form of how much money can you come up with. And the high, just as I was glancing at, was like $17 million excluding the sports complex. Now, what is the realistic timeline? As I read your document here, 5 years, within 5 years would consider high priority, right? More or less? Right? Oh, more or less. So the question is 16 or 17 million dollars realistic within the next 4 or 5 years? Because if not, what number is, this is kind of a hypothesis, it's a guessing game to some extent, but if it's not, then the more realistic situation is to prioritize a few, whatever that dollar amount, close to it, into a high, and the ones have to go back towards a medium that are not going to be able to be practicality. Because what happens is, and one of the things we did with our strategic planning is break it down into short-term, medium, and long-term, and reevaluate that. Because if you put it on the short-term list and you have no realistic expectation to be able to fund it in that time, then it doesn't amount to anything. So I think that's one of my recommendations with community services. Take some feedback from our strategic planning that comes up, and then I'd like them to kind of narrow some of the scope, as Ms. Walker suggested, and let's try to tighten this up a little bit so that I think we need to keep an overall plan, but as Mr. Durant said, we got a budget process coming up here very shortly. We're going to start that within the next 30 days. So it's going to be important that we start to focus on that. And I know our new Parks and Recreation Director is going to be coming to the council with some plans for Parks and Recreation. So I think that synergy works well, and I think we need to move that part of it forward very quickly because we only have about 90 days to approve a budget. So it's going to come a lot quicker than people think.
Is especially when it comes to Buckland Park, I've talked to people about it. I use the park sometimes, when we're running meetings. The community wants to get involved. They want to see more trees there. They desperately need more trees, good landscaping. An idea came up a while back, and I talked to Seville about this in the beginning before I got appointed to the commission, of having like an Arbor Day celebration here for the valley. We've never had that before. I proposed to one business owner who was willing to donate 40 trees. The labor to get the community involved, they want to get involved. It's not going to cost the city anything. People are going to donate the money. All they need to do is find out what trees they need to buy, have the children involved. They're not going to want to see their parks vandalized. That's their trees.
Well, the only comment I make is, and I think the community will get involved in any of these projects. But the real key is we have to have a defined plan for the rehabilitation of Buckland before we allow one tree to go in. Because it could be just a waste. I mean, what we need to see is we need to pay to get an architect to redesign what we want Buckland to be. whether we talk about the berm, whether we talk about an indoor-outdoor surface for the walking path, whether we talk about fencing, whether we talk about additional restroom facilities, whatever we talk about. But you have to have the drawings before you then go out to the community and say, look, this is what we propose Buckland Park to look like. Now, how would you like to contribute? And then we can find a gobs of ways to act, them to contribute. But I don't want to start, because when you piecemeal it, then you end up and saying, well, yeah, but you know, we put those new trees right where we have to pull out to put that new shade structure. So I think you're right. I think the community will, and I think that's what this goes a long way towards, because one of the things we've never had, and we joked about it earlier, is we haven't had a master plan in 100 years. So nobody could go back and say, as Cheryl pointed out, have this handy. Okay, let's see what we were planning on doing for Buckland Park. Because it was always a mixed match. When a new council would come on and, you know, priority would change, or as was said earlier, we've got the baby boomer, different generations, things change. But if you have a plan of attack, you kind of stick to it, you have a game plan. And it's, I think, what we try to do with our strategic planning, and we've just taken that and put this in a strategic plan, hopefully, for Parks and Recreation. Okay, I appreciate everybody's involvement.
The only thing I wanted to add to that is that we had provided some timelines in our presentation, so just please keep in mind that those will be extended because we value the input and recommendations that have been given to the Community Services Commission, and that they are able to look and look at strategizing what's being proposed for high, medium, and low. So with that, our times will be extended. We don't want to be rushed with this document because it is a 20-year plan, so just keep that in mind. And again, we thank you for your valuable input. Staff will be meeting on this tomorrow to debrief with the consultant and then move forward with another plan of action.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.